Hey, Scarefest, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly, and this week, and probably next week, I'm going to be reviewing two films that were not shot in English. The first one we're going to talk about this week is a movie that you can find on Netflix, and it's about werewolves. In fact, it's called Viking Wolf. I know. Netflix kept recommending it to me. I kept reading things about it. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. It's a stupid title, but I'll give it a shot. It's directed by Stig Svensson, whom I don't know. But it's about a young girl who's just moved with her mom and her mom's boyfriend to a small town after her mom got a job in the local police. And something happened between her mom and her dad's now passed away, but we don't really get the whole story. Well, she eventually goes to a party. She has a younger sister who's also deaf and signs, and they're quite close. She goes to a party, and at that party that night, a couple of people that she sees are attacked by something. We don't see what. Of course, it's a werewolf. And she's attacked too, but she lives. And she starts to change. Now, this story is really old. I like the opening of this movie quite a bit because the first 5 or 10 minutes explains just how the werewolf ended up in Norway. This movie takes place in Norway. And what was going on and why the Vikings stole the werewolf and brought it back. And it's fairly fascinating. It's interesting. What actually, this is a Norwegian film, actually. I said Norway, it's Normandy. But what is kind of fascinating about this is not, it's a cliched story, but it's done really well. And as the movie progresses, it gets more and more interesting because even though a lot of these tropes and scenes that in there are kind of out of other movies a little bit, the third act is pretty bloody and things do go. I'm trying to think. I do recommend go see Viking Wolf on Netflix. It's actually fun. If you love werewolves, it's not bad at all. But the problem with werewolf films inherently is they're just Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. There's nothing really scary about this movie. There's not even really a good jump scare. It has a common decency only to be an hour and a half long. Be pretty well written as far and directed, and the acting is pretty good. The execution of this is great. What I really wanted was there's a great scene in the third act where there's a transformation on a bus and it's happening a crowded bus and it happens in a tunnel when the transformation happens and they attack the passengers. I understand with the budget you can only do so much, but I would have loved to have seen more of what happened on that bus. It's not as much. And then another thing I like about the movie is it opens itself up. And it has a really good ending that's pretty ambiguous that some of you are going to say, did she do it? Did she not do it? Let me know. And when I say she, you don't know what it is until you watch the movie. You don't know which she it is that did it or didn't do it. So, should you check out Viking Wolf on Netflix? 2022's Viking Wolf. Yeah, absolutely. I actually kind of liked it. It was fun. I wanted to finish it. I watched an hour of it, got really tired, wasn't feeling well. And but you should totally watch it. Now, there's a ton of homages to Jaws in this. In fact, there's almost a whole scene during an autopsy. That's the scene where Brody and Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper are going looking at the dead body's girl and all the dead girl's body. It's straight out of Jaws, straight out of Jaws. But check it out. This has been Viking Wolf, Netflix, Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly.